Welcome into the Lakers Report by Chat Sports. I am your host, Chase Sr. Coming up on today's show, the Lakers are going to Vegas. Monta Ellis is working out. Could Los Angeles sign him? And Carmelo Anthony calls LeBron James the GM. But first, some key upcoming dates to kind of inform you about, because the NBA season and Lakers basketball is actually right around the corner. NBA training camp starts next week on September 28th. Lakers kick off the preseason October 3rd against the Brooklyn Nets. Then they begin the 2021-2022 season on October 19th against the Golden State Warriors. All reasons why you should subscribe to the channel, because we're going to be continuing to up our coverage here on the Lakers Report. Let's get to 40,000 subscribers as soon as possible. How about some team building for the Lakers? We know this organization and this roster is pretty old under LeBron James, but he's getting the squad together, and they're going to Las Vegas for a little team-building exercise, some shades of what they did a couple years ago when they won the NBA championship. This coming from Shams. Sources tell me LeBron has organized a 3-day Lakers minicamp in Las Vegas starting on Friday ahead of next week's training camp. James hosted a similar team function in 2019, the season that the Lakers won the 2020 NBA championship. The Lakers had acquired at that time Anthony Davis in 2019 and were integrating him to the roster. This offseason, in similar fashion, the Lakers acquired Russell Westbrook and will now use this weekend as a catapult ahead of the upcoming NBA season. LeBron taking ownership of being this team's leader. I absolutely love it. This dude is the ageless wonder. He is the bionic man. So this is what I want you to do, Laker Nation. Get into the comment section, and let's hope that this is the beginning of another championship run, and let's get the good vibes going. Comment culture in the comment section right now, because we know culture, very important for teams with championship aspirations. Speaking of this team, could Monta Ellis be a part of it? According to his agency, they're trying to work out a deal where Monta Ellis can get a workout for the Lakers to try to be a training camp body. The Lakers right now have 13 guaranteed contracts on the roster. There's at least one open roster spot for training camp, and Ellis has spoken to the Lakers about doing a workout. This is what his agency had to say recently. Los Angeles Lakers have reached out to Ellis's business manager, Darius Nelson of Dagger Basketball Agency, who quickly arranged a conference call with his client on Monday. The Lakers, through their newly hired basketball operations coaching associate, Jordan Henriquez Roberts, have expressed interest in working out the veteran guard. He is certainly a veteran guard. He is certainly older, which is the theme with this Lakers roster, even though I'm not really concerned about it because I think they're so talented across the board. And Monta Ellis has not played in the league since 2017. But from 2006 to 2016, he was a very, very good scoring guard for a number of teams, most notably for the Golden State Warriors, prior to Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green going on those legendary championship runs. I mean, for a decade, to put up these averages of 19.5 points, shooting around 45% from the deck, never was the most efficient three-point shooter, but he certainly went on heaters from beyond the arc and was a decent creator as well. Those were certainly digits. My problem is this. Monta Ellis right now is 35 years old. He has not appeared in an NBA game since 2017. And we just talked about the same thing going on with Darren Collison and a couple of other players across the NBA who we thought were done, who we thought were washed, who are now trying to get back into the NBA. I'm not sure if they're taking the Tom Brady, LeBron James magic elixir and they think that they can still get the job done. I do find it funny and somewhat interesting, though. Also, there's some level of familiarity with Monta Ellis and this coaching staff. He did play under Frank Vogel in Indianapolis with the Pacers for a couple of seasons, so Frank Vogel does know Ellis well. Maybe he's just doing him a favor by giving him an opportunity to take part in training camp, and there's never really a downside of bringing in an established veteran to at least be a training camp body, which is what I think this would be. Monta Ellis isn't going to be getting run during the regular season. He's not going to be on the floor averaging like 15 points per game, getting 15 to 20 minutes per night. Those years, they're in the rearview mirror. They're no longer here. Monta Ellis, if anything, in my opinion at least, would be a training camp body. Laker Nation, where do you stand on this? Do you want Los Angeles to sign Monta Ellis? I mean, they signed a bunch of other notable veterans who have a bunch of accolades throughout their respective NBA careers. Monta Ellis could be one of those guys. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Get those votes in the comment section down below. Today's show is presented to you by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. No matter where you're at in the United States or across the world, you can still lay down some bets thanks to our friends at BetUS. You go to chatsports.com/Lakers. You enter the promo code Lakers125. We had to cook up a special link and promo code for Laker Nation. You get a 125% deposit bonus. So when you put $100 into your account, you get an additional $125 on top of that. Simple math shows you that's $225. And I'm not good at math because I failed elementary algebra in college. I speak for a living. What do you expect? Maybe you want to bet on the Lakers as favorites in the Western Conference to win the West at plus 150. The Warriors, 5-1 odds. Clippers, even without Kawhi Leonard, still at plus 750. And the Suns at plus 750 as well. Get those bets in, NBA, NFL, whatever you want to do. Horse racing if you want. Shoot. Whatever you got. Chatsports.com/Lakers. Enter the promo code Lakers125. Next up on the docket, Carmelo Anthony calling Rob Pelinka, a.k.a. LeBron James, the GM. Not Rob Pelinka. Crazy, right? Carmelo's like, yo, LeBron's my guy. He's been the general manager calling the shots. He was on a Barstool Sports podcast with Gillie Da Kid called $1 Million Worth of Game. It's actually a pretty good podcast. Gillie Da Kid used to have bars back in the day. Now he's a pretty successful podcaster with Barstool. This is what Melo had to say on that pod. It was a real call, though. It wasn't like no bullshit. It was a real call from LeBron James to Carmelo Anthony. I wasn't expecting it from him. I mean, we talked about it years before about getting with each other, but I heard it, and that's my brother. I've known him since we was 15, 16 years old. I heard it. He said, yo, I need you. Say less. You ain't got to say nothing. I already knew what time it is when you hit me direct. The GM ain't hit me. You the GM, LeBron. He hit me. He was like, yo, champ, the time is now, and you felt it. I like it. So there you go. Carmelo calling LeBron the GM on $1 Million Worth of Game podcast. And I think Melo's going to be able to help the Lakers this upcoming season. Yes, he's been in the league since 2003 like LeBron because they were both members of one of the best draft classes of all time that year. But Melo has really resurrected his career as a spot starter and a very solid bench player who can still knock down some threes, stretch the floor. And I've seen the last couple of years with the Portland Trailblazers, him just pouring in more effort defensively. And he was never really a great defensive player throughout his career, but he's put more effort into that end of the floor, and I think that's helped him extend his career a little bit, as well as him becoming a pretty consistent knockdown shooter. But last year with Portland, 13.5 points per game, 3 rebounds, 42% from the deck, almost 41% from distance. Like, those numbers are very, very good, and they play well considering the roster construction on this team. And I think Melo is going to be able to be a good complementary piece on this team, and he fits well alongside a Russell Westbrook, who's going to be able to wreak havoc with getting to the cup and making plays happen. LeBron James and Anthony Davis expected to play more 4 and 5, which allows Melo at times to maybe play a little bit of 3. If the Lakers want to go with a small ball lineup, Melo can also play the 4. So he does have a little bit of versatility with where he can play on the floor. And I've seen some video of Melo working out this offseason. With Brickley, who's a very world-renowned trainer. Melo looks to be in really, really good shape. Again, credit to him for being able to extend his career, because there was a time a couple years ago where he couldn't get a job across the NBA. I thought that was straight up ludicrous because, as we've seen the last couple of years with him being in that Blazers uniform alongside CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard, the cat can still play, and I think he's going to be able to prove some of the doubters wrong this year as well. And we finally get to see two best friends in Melo, LeBron, finally team up with one another. With that, I transition to this. What is your excitement level for Carmelo Anthony in the purple and gold? Scale it for me from 1 to 10, 1 being not excited at all, 10 being very excited. I'm probably at like a 6, 7, 8 in that range, but let me know what you're feeling in the comment section down below.